Crime and doing crimes. All right, so let's see.
Widows about crimes and doing crimes, says IMDb.
In a land far away, there are crimes about doing crimes. Prepare for widows.
Widows, it'll kill you to say. Welcome to Bitter Coffee, a comedy podcast from two friends who are just about over it. I'm Darek Fenton.
And I'm Kelly Coffey.
Welcome, Kelly, and welcome everyone else to another episode of Bitter Coffee. Thanks for joining us. How you doing today, Kelly?
I am good.
Yeah, feeling good?
You know what? I am.
Okay.
Sun's out.
Yep.
Doing another daytime show.
Daytime recording.
This feels good.
Yeah. It's nice to actually record not after a day of work.
It's kind of nice.
It'd be interesting to gauge the energy level about weekend recording versus a after work recording, because I will admit every single time we record I love it and I have a great time, but the drive over here after some like really busy Thursdays at work, I'm just so tired.
Yeah.
We get on the mic and I'm good, I feel awesome, but what's nice about the weekend recording is that all the way over here I'm like, oh, it's sunny, there's vitamin D, I'm feeling good about the day.
Lighting in the room is good.
The lighting in the room is good. There's some light coming through the window.
It's nice.
Another beautiful crisp afternoon here in northern Vermont.
So recently, within the last couple of weeks, we had a situation here in northern Vermont where it was cold and then it rained and then the temperature dropped and it just became this sheet of ice across the entire northern Vermont area.
Sure did.
And for those of you that may have been driving in it, super sorry.
Yeah, really sorry for all
Sounds like
of that.
It sucked.
My God, it sounded absolutely terrifying.
Can you imagine being stuck in your car for 4 hours because they just decided, oh, we're going to close the interstate.
Yep, interstate's off for the evening.
I know
all
people,
done.
4 hours. They were just stuck in their car.
I was on my way home as it was starting to turn, and I had the strangest experience of my driving life as full blast heat on the defrost, windshield wipers running, and my windshield was freezing.
Oh my God.
So it's like raining, but it's so cold that as the rain is hitting my windshield, it's freezing on contact. And so there was nothing I could do. I'm like, I'm driving the car, I have it full blast on defrost, but I can only see out of the one little area that is actually melted. It was terrifying.
I would lose my mind.
It was awful.
It was also the same night that our hot water ran out here at home. And when I say ran out, I mean I went into this full-blown panic because we had no hot water.
Right. The thought was that the hot water was not working.
No, because we never, ever run out of hot water. So what happened was there was some laundry being done and then a shower and whatever. And you may or may not know, one of my things to do when I really need to just calm down, take a nice hot bubble bath. It's why I love winter.
It's great.
And that's my thing. So that's
I cannot relate, but I can understand.
You don't take a bath?
I'm not a bath guy.
You're not a bather.
No, I've heard from folks that I should really look into it because of the whole bath bomb explosion these days, and apparently it's great.
And there is an explosion.
Some friends of ours gave us some bath salts, and not the drugs, but the actual salts that go in your bath for Hannah, for the whole being pregnant and everything.
Right.
And I'm thinking I should maybe partake. Not my thing, but
I can understand. Is she a bath person? Is Hannah a bath person?
You know, not really.
Okay.
I think if we had a better tub, she might be more of a bath person.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the issue, is it's just not particularly comfortable. So, but
well,
no,
maybe.
I can understand. I can see the appeal. Absolutely see the appeal. Some people find it like gross to be sort of like bathing in your own filth. But if you're dirty enough,
I'm not covered in dirt
exactly.
and like, oh, I'll just soak in muddy, gross
you're not
water.
Pigpen from Peanuts. You're good. I understand. I totally get the appeal.
And I really feel that Pigpen, he benefited from taking a bath. Remember there were like 2 seconds when he was clean.
That's
and
true.
Just got all dusty again.
It just kind of happens.
Yeah.
I know those people, by the way. I met some of them. I've worked with them in the past. We live in Vermont. Anyway, so you're interested in taking a bath. It's freezing cold. You're like, you know what I'll do? I'll take a bath.
So I turned on the water and I was trying to, multitask, which I hate doing, and stuck my hand in to see if the water was hot enough or too hot or whatever. Room temperature.
Tepid water.
Damn
it.
So then I turned on the hot water thinking, oh, I'll just warm it up.
Yep.
There's no hot water.
Yeah.
So I start to panic a little bit. And I ask Michelle, like, hey, is there anything up with the hot water? She's like, no, it's fine. So I go out into, and I learned a lot about how like thermostats work on hot water heaters. I learned a lot. So I went out there and I looked, and it's at 90 degrees. I'm like, that doesn't sound like
it's not hot water hot.
It's not.
No.
So I do what any normal person would do, wait 2 minutes, and then try and run the hot water to be like, oh, it's fixed.
It just needed a moment.
That's it.
Needed a moment to
needed
recoup.
a reset.
And it would be fine. Yeah, we all take those times in our day.
So each time I do that, the water's cooler and cooler.
Right.
So it leaves me no other choice than to call Vermont Gas.
Oh, boy.
And, I'm calling at 4:45 on a Tuesday.
That's the best customer service time. I don't know if you're aware of this, right before close of day.
Oh, yeah. Like, they want those problem calls.
They can't wait. Yeah.
And I call, and I'm like, oddly indignant.
Well, you've tried to take a bath, Kelly.
I'm in panic mode.
Hot bath.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm just in panic mode. So I call and I speak to this woman, Monique, and I let her know very directly that I have no hot water. I haven't given her my name, the account number.
Like you've called Hot Water
address.
911 and she's just tracking you?
Yeah. And she's like, okay, well, let's start with the basics. What's your name? All right, I like her already.
She gets you.
So I'm giving her all the answers that she needs. And she said, okay, I can have somebody out there in, I don't know, a couple of hours. It's tough for me to say because now it's after hours.
Sure.
And it's going to be $170
yeah, it'll be
for them
$1 million
to just roll up.
Yep.
And, so I wait and I wait and I wait. And then all of a sudden, we waited like a half an hour. And I went out into the boiler room and I look and the thermostat's back up to like 130 degrees.
Oh.
And I check and we have more hot water than I needed for everything.
Wow.
And
nice.
so I called them back and I was like, hey, just want to let you know that I no longer need your services.
It worked itself out.
Thank you very much. Because I was embarrassed.
Yeah, sure.
Like if I just waited a half an hour. So she was like, okay, so you don't need me to send somebody out there? I said, no, it's fine. It's totally fine.
Okay.
So as I have her on the phone, I said, but we are talking about maybe switching our hot water system or whatever. Can you send somebody over? Because I would like...
In a non-emergency way. At some point.
And she said, yeah, I can have somebody out there tomorrow just to have a conversation.
Great.
Next day rolls around. I just don't feel like dealing with it.
We've all been there.
And so I call and I cancel. And I say, you know what? I thank you for setting this up. I'm not going to do this right now. I don't want to deal with it.
I'm not in the right place for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
I'm not in that space right now, Monique. I'm sorry. So she understands, sort of. And 2 days go by and Michelle comes home from work and she comments that the house is really cold.
Ah.
And I said, oh, well, it's winter.
You'll have that.
Because I noticed it too. I'm like, oh, it's just really windy outside.
Yeah.
And she looks at the thermostat and the heat's not on. And we have it set to like 65 and it's 60 degrees in the house, which is never a good sign.
Yeah.
So I have to call Vermont Gas again.
Get old Monique on the horn again.
Yeah. So I get Monique on the phone because that's who's answering the phone.
Yeah. It's Vermont Gas. They not have like 1 million people answering the phone.
No, it's Monique. That's what you're going to get. And I said, hi, this is Kelly Coffey. And here's my account number and here's my address. And she's like, yeah, okay. So I let her know that now I have no heat. And she said, okay. And she said it. I didn't realize it at the time. But she said, oh, okay. So you'd like to have me send somebody out there. And I said, yeah, that would be great. And she said, okay, well, as you know, there's a 4-hour window. I can't tell you exactly when somebody's going to be there, but we'll get somebody there as soon as possible.
Yeah.
So I hang up the phone with her and I thank her for her time.
Sure.
And I get the series of space heaters and I'm blocking things off.
Oh, so you're getting prepared to not have heat.
I'm ready.
Gotcha.
Like it's the apocalypse and I'm ready and I've got blankets and I'm getting the dogs into one room and they're like,
wow.
no, I want to be in that room. What the hell am I in here?
We have fur. We're fine.
Fine.
Yeah.
And so then Michelle's kind of, workshopping this idea and the options are limited because we just don't have any heat.
Yeah.
And we look and, like the burner's not on or like the pilot or whatever it is. And she has this wild idea of just changing the batteries in the thermostat in the kitchen.
Oh.
And then there was a series of clicks. And then she went out to look at the...
There was a whoosh.
There was a whoosh.
Yeah.
And then there was another series of clicks. And then the pilot light was on.
Oh,
So
magic.
what do I have to do?
You got to get Monique on the phone.
Hey, Monique.
Hey, BFF Monique.
Hey, it's Kelly. It's such a pretty name you have. Monique.
It is unique in that I feel as though we've gotten to know each other so well in the course of the last few days. Unique Monique.
So I have to cancel this appointment because heat's back on.
You'll never guess what it took.
Fixed it. Just a set of batteries.
We're plumbing
response?
engineers now.
Exactly. Yeah, okay. Wasn't like, I'm glad. Or, are you sure? Can you check for these 9 things? I want to make sure you're all set before I cancel this.
Yeah, no.
Fine.
All right.
Okay, yeah, lady, you're on your own.
I'll be honest, I canceled it right after you called the last time.
I didn't even put the order in.
Put it out. I made a little noise and that was it.
Yeah.
There's no reason.
Oh, okay. Great. I'm glad that you brought that up.
Okay.
Have you noticed when you call places, whether it's Xfinity or AT&T or whoever, they have the fake operator who tries to be a real operator?
Oh, the fake typing?
There's in a few words, tell me why you've called today. Customer service. And there's fake typing, and then there's that.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't get that. She's so frustrated. I'm so sorry.
Who is that fooling also? Was there some study done that people are less likely to be annoyed if there is a fake typing noise?
I guess.
With your fake operator?
Yeah, because you're on the phone, you're like, yeah, that's right. Things are happening.
I can hear them trying
You're
very
typing.
hard.
And then when she doesn't understand, I'm so sorry. I still didn't get that. If you're cursing to yourself as she's fake typing.
You're mumbling annoyances.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't get that because I wasn't talking to you, fake operator.
And if you listen closly, it's in such a condescending tone.
It really is.
It's amazing. It's fantastic. So, big round of applause for that kind of fake customer service.
Yeah.
Which is better than, more often than not, is better than the real customer service.
Yes, generally speaking. Customer service is a huge misnomer.
Speaking of which,
okay,
just one dovetail after another, isn't it?
You got stories for
I know.
us today,
Well,
Kelly.
I had half of a chocolate truffle.
Yep, can confirm.
Leftover Valentine's Day candy, and I'm a little fired up. I'm a half a truffle and
half a truffle deep into the podcast,
and a cup of tea in.
Fire it off tonight.
It's a 4-hour show.
You have another customer service thing.
I do. No, thank you for bringing me back.
Of course. No, I'm here to help.
I went to motor vehicles yesterday to renew my driver's license.
Oh God, I didn't realize we were going deep into the into the horrible cave that is DMV.
Yep.
Oof.
It was, coming from New Jersey and living in New York, I understand that DMV is it's a really horrible place.
Sure.
But in Vermont, you think, nah, it's different here.
Yeah.
No, it's not. I walked
Depends
in.
on the day.
I had all my paperwork.
Yep.
And the guy said, what can I do for you? As I'm handing him the paperwork that clearly says that I'm renewing my driver's license.
To do. Yeah.
Well, you're going to have to sign this. I said, oh, okay. And I went to grab a pen. Mm-hmm. And the first thing he said was, well, you can't use my pen. But it was a pen on the counter. I'm like, okay, he's going to be...
I didn't realize it was BYOP.
I had no idea.
At the DMV.
I was like, all right, he's going to be a dick.
Wow. Okay.
So I get a
Not
pen.
a great start.
No.
Yeah.
And I'm there 17 seconds.
Been there 15 seconds. Yeah.
And so I get a pen out of my bag, and he said, "Yeah, can you not do that at the counter? I'm signing my name.
It's a signature, not the SAT.
And there's nobody in line behind me.
Jeez.
It's not like I'm holding up the line.
Okay. Yeah.
So I sign my name, and I hand him back the clipboard, and he looks at me again and says, "You didn't date it." So I kind of grab.
Just a light snatching
out of his
snatching action. Okay.
And I date it aggressively. And
That's how I've always dated myself.
And I hand it back to him. And he hands me a number. And as I'm sitting down, I'm not paying attention to what number's being called because I just got there.
Well, you just got to the DMV, so you're going to be waiting for 3 to 5 days anyway.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
As I'm sitting down, he yells across the room, "That's your number, ma'am."
Oh God.
And I'm like, how was I supposed to I didn't even look at the number yet.
Also, there are other people there, right?
There were people that were in line ahead of me.
You weren't up next.
No, I had no idea.
Well, maybe he fast-tracked you.
I have no idea. So then wow, that's a really good tactic.
Just to mess with you. He was like, oh yeah? Well, you're next.
I used to pretend to be angry in order to get out of speeding tickets. We could talk about that some other time, but it always worked.
Okay.
Anyway.
Usually people go the other direction, but I like this. Maybe it catches them off guard.
And they're just like, you're nuts.
I don't have it in me today.
Yeah, I can't, because obviously you're dealing with a lot.
So you somehow get to the DMV, you immediately are inundated with annoyances, then it is somehow immediately your turn.
Yeah, magically it's my turn.
Yep.
And I kind of look at him like, where am I supposed to go? Because I don't even see like where the numbers lit up.
Well, and you
like,
hadn't had that time to prepare, which is what you're normally doing in the DMV. You're like, okay, when my number is called in 78 numbers,
I'm gonna go over here.
Here's where all the windows are, whatever number it is. Now I know where I need to go. Cool, I'm settled in. I'm ready to go. I'm gonna read.
You have to go to
all
window
of
number 6.
The Odyssey while I'm here, and okay.
And he points to window number 6.
Okay.
So I go there, and this was kind of my fault. I'll accept half the blame.
Okay, fair.
So
very nice of you. That's very. It's very thoughtful of you to accept some of the blame.
I want to be fair
and
balanced. So I see this sign on the glass that is separating me from the DMV person that says, "Do not put your hand underneath the glass."
Oh, in the little documents area. Yeah. Okay.
So what do? I get out my phone and I like stick my hand underneath the glass and I try and take a photo of it.
Of the sign in your hand?
Yeah.
Amazing.
And I'm like wiggling my hand like I'm there. All I have to do is just, snap the hot pic.
Yeah.
And she starts yelling at me. There's not cell phones allowed in here. And she's like,
man.
She's pointing to the sign.
Yeah.
That's facing me that says no cell phone sign. Yeah. But it's a very old looking cell phone. And I wanted to say, well, that's a cell phone. This is a smartphone.
I don't have a Zach Morris cell phone.
I don't have a Nokia.
It doesn't have an extendable antenna, therefore does not qualify.
This isn't my StarTAC from 1998.
I don't use track phone, so I'm exempt.
So I put my phone away, and then she said, do you want a 2-year license or a 4-year license? I should have just said 4-year license, and I said, oh my God, I don't want to come back to this place anytime soon. And I kind of mumble it to Michelle, but kind of to myself. But, clearly she could probably hear me.
Uh-huh. There's glass there. You don't know.
Yeah, who knows? I don't know. I don't know what her hearing capability is. All I know is that I don't want to deal with her any longer than I have to.
Right.
So I pay my, $50 or whatever it is. And she said, go around the corner. I'm going to take your picture. Oh, boy.
Jeez.
So picture is taken. She's like, I have to do it again. Your eyes were shut. And I said, well, I was sleepy. Nothing.
So accusatory.
Yeah. Like you did that on purpose.
Yeah.
You're wasting film.
You're wasting digital film.
Exactly. So then she takes a second photo, and I should show you the photo. It's like the worst photo ever. Which is great. It was like, all right, she won that round.
Well, you've had an afternoon here at this point. You've had a morning or afternoon, and you're over it.
It's like 10 o'clock in the morning.
Okay, so you're done.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised the photo wasn't the best.
And the original plan was for me to go to Montpelier and have it done there, because they're very friendly there.
Yeah.
Because here in Vermont, you have to get your license renewed the month of your birthday.
Right.
So they all but sing you happy birthday when you're there to get your...
In Montpelier.
In Montpelier.
Yeah, not in Burlington.
No. And there's oh, you look familiar. So, whatever.
It's like a family reunion every time you go in there.
And there's there could be cake. So then she said, well, you have to wait 2 minutes, you can get your license, and then you can leave. So what do I say? I said, you know what? Please and thank you goes a really long way. Nothing. Said nothing.
Wow.
So then Michelle's like, oh my God, can we just get out of here in one piece?
I just want to go.
Yeah.
They're going to lock the door in a second.
So I don't have to go back for 4 years.
Nice.
But the burden is I have to walk around with a really bad driver's license picture. And then I compare the old one to the new one.
Yeah.
The old one, I'm smiling.
Because that was a Montpelier picture, probably.
It was.
Yeah, so
it was probably right after I was hugged by a stranger who wished me, many happy returns.
Exactly. This will be a 4-year remembrance of why you want to go to Montpelier the next time.
So that's all I really have to report.
Always a joy.
That's been my week so far.
Fantastic. My God. Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate you sharing these tales of your week with us. Speaking of sharing, that was my awkward transition. I do want to dive into.
So natural.
We fired right into stories. I want to circle back quickly to an iTunes review, because we love to read the iTunes reviews. So we wanted to read this one from. I think this is from a friend of yours. This is from.
I don't have any friends.
Okay, and there's an alleged Facebook associate of yours, Nefarious Miscreant, who I believe is someone who you know on Facebook who may have also mentioned this comment and then left it on iTunes as well.
Yes, I know who it is.
Yeah, okay, cool. So,
and she is my friend.
Okay, good.
So, legit.
We appreciate it. Good job reinforcing that.
I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing.
Well, I love the title of this review, which is This Podcast Saves Lives.
It's a good title.
Great title. And the review is as such. I am slightly less inclined to go on a 5-state killing spree after listening to episode 11 on my commute today. Those whose lives were saved don't realize how grateful you should be. They don't deserve this podcast.
Well, that's very kind.
Lives that were saved don't deserve it, but they were saved. And so thank you very much, Nefarious Miscreant, for leaving that iTunes review. Saving lives here on the Bitter Coffee Podcast.
You know, if there's anything that we want to do with this podcast, it's save lives.
I'm pretty sure that's make people say stay fresh cheese bags.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, that's actually what we want people to do.
Stay fresh cheese bags.
Yep.
Jackpot that bitch.
Jackpot that bitch. Yep.
Save lives.
Yep.
Yeah, it's pretty much
interesting.
it.
Actually,
pretty much it. Random question.
What I've discovered is, and I've had a couple of people say this to me, and I feel very privileged to have this be the case, but as it turns out, Bitter Coffee is sort of the gateway podcast for a lot of people. I've had a few folks say that before I inundated them with requests to listen to my podcast, they'd never listened to a podcast before. And so to the people who I've badgered into trying podcasts for the first time and have since said, hey, I've now found other podcasts that I like, stop listening to those, first of all. You're only to listen to our podcast. We've explicitly instructed you to only listen to Bitter Coffee.
We don't really ask for that much.
Listen, just our podcast. That's all we're asking. Maybe we sent you a mug if that's not enough of a reason to just listen to our podcast.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I like the idea that we're sort of the gateway podcast, that we have gotten people accustomed to the idea of getting the podcast app or using the podcast app or using Stitcher or Spotify or however you're listening to Bitter Coffee. Thank you for that. And we're glad that we've gotten you on this unbelievable, dark, deep rabbit hole of podcasts out there. I don't know about anybody else, but I subscribe to like 30 podcasts, of which I might listen to 2 in a given week. But, you know, they're there for me if I need them.
I'm checking right now to see how many podcasts I subscribe to.
Yeah, it's sort of out of hand for me. I definitely listen to probably 5 or 6 regularly. So Boardwalk Podcast is one that I've been checking out because those folks are great. We love them over there at the Boardwalk Podcast. I listen to...
And if you haven't subscribed to that...
Yeah.
Stop what you're doing.
Yeah, go on over there.
Go on over there. You're already in the app.
Yeah, exactly. Just open it up, search Boardwalk Podcast, check them out, subscribe, listen to those folks. Those guys are great. Villains, which is a Ringer podcast network. It's about they pick a different kind of movie villain every week, and they like dissect that villain, why they're evil, what's the worst thing they did, did they have a point, is always my favorite segment on there. They do like a different kind of movie all the time. So they did like Chung Lee from Bloodsport, which is a great Van Damme movie.
I don't know what that means.
It's fine. Don't worry about it. But anyway, the villains that they pick are really, really interesting. And I love the like, did they have a point? Could you get behind their argument at any point in any of the things they did? I love that concept of just examining villains in movies.
Could you imagine if they asked that question on our show? If we had a point?
Did they have a point?
Nope.
It'd be a very short segment.
Yeah.
No.
Be a much shorter show. We'd have to use the sound effects. We should start using the sound effects more.
Oh, I forgot about the sound effects that we have.
I often forget about it.
We don't use them enough.
No. We should figure out a way. Maybe when we like transition into like talking TV or jobs.
There's like a specific sound effect that goes along with that.
Echoey. Is there like a boing kind of? Is there?
I don't know.
I don't see a boing.
We'll have to experiment with it. There should be a big red boing button on here. Yeah, Villains Podcast is great. Rewatchables, another Ringer podcast, which is just movies that you will always rewatch on TV if they're on.
Oh,
they examine like Ocean's 11 and Speed and what else have they done? Old School and any movie that Top Gun. I think they may have done a
Breakfast
Top Gun
Club.
one. Yeah, they probably did a Breakfast Club. Yeah.
Officer and a Gentleman.
You see?
Yeah.
You know. Yeah.
No.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to start listening to that podcast.
You should definitely check that one out for sure.
But if somebody were to get into my phone, they would think that I was like really super up on current events because the podcasts that I subscribe to, like there's maybe 2 that I listen to. I listen to VPR News just because it's awesome.
Yep.
I listen to Boardwalk Podcast.
Yep.
I listen to our podcast, but sporadically because it feels weird.
Okay.
Like I subscribe to our podcast, but I don't listen to it.
I have a great, very quick story about that. When I record the podcast, I will often, the day before I put it up, I will listen to it at work because I want to make sure there's nothing crazy that I missed.
Okay.
And so while I'm working, I'll have it on in my headphones in the background, and it's usually streaming from my phone. And so the other day, somebody came over to ask me a question, and I went to turn the podcast off, but I inadvertently unplugged my headphones. And so our voices are now playing out of my phone at work, and I quickly scrambled to turn it off. And
I wasn't doing anything.
Of course, the person couldn't just let it go. They were like, "Are you listening to your own podcast right now?" And I was like, God damn, yes.
No.
But not really. Immediate backpedal. I was like, I'm just listening to make sure I didn't screw anything up in the edit. And they're like, no, you're not narcissistic. It's fine.
Oh, that's rough.
Yeah, okay. So our podcast, definitely.
I have, and I don't know where this came from, I have a podcast that apparently I subscribe to that's called Deep Energy 2.0. And I just realized it now.
Okay.
I have no idea what it means.
Nice.
Let me see. Music for sleep, meditation, relaxation, massage. Oh, okay.
Wow.
I don't know. Look.
Uh-huh. Oh, it's very picturesque.
I have 4 episodes of it, and it's they're an hour long.
That feels like a just-in-case download.
Yeah.
That was I may need this one day to decompress.
I don't know.
Others that I'm into right now, Delete This is a great podcast about a husband and wife who analyze the husband's tweets of the week and talk about them in terms of current events and what they meant to him. Fan Story, which I've mentioned before, is great about various things in the music industry. And then the Spose podcast is the one that I never miss just because I'm a huge fan of Spose and his work and his music. And he interviews a lot of Maine area music people, and I love the sort of Portland, Maine music scene, and so that's been a fun one as well. And there's a bunch more. The Anthropocene Reviewed, great name. Because
can you say that word again?
Anthropocene.
Okay, thank you.
Anthropocene Reviewed. It's a great name, great word, great podcast. That is essentially taking, it's John Green, who I've talked about in the podcast before, but he is essentially taking 2 things every episode and rating them on a 5-star scale. It's things in the human-centric world. It could be anything. So an episode he could rate Canadian geese and the measles. Might be the 2 things that he's rating, and he does it on 5-star scale, but he talks about them for 10 minutes each first, and then says, he'll be like, I give Canadian geese 2.5 stars. And then he moves on to the next thing. It's wonderful, and he's eloquent, and it's a peaceful podcast, and it's 25 minutes total for the 2 things, and definitely check that one out. That one's fun.
So the length of a Vermont Gas story.
Yeah. Yes, about one Vermont Gas story long is how long the podcast is. Yep.
I do find it strange when people say to me, hey, I listened to your podcast. Mm-hmm. And then there's really nothing. And it's what I hear is...
Yeah, and it wasn't for me.
Yeah,
was the rest of that.
It's not my thing, but good luck. And then I always get nervous, and some know more than others that if I say something on a podcast, that it's going to come back to haunt me. I try and be really careful. I don't want to offend anyone, but I mean, the best laid plans. The more I try and not offend people, the more,
Yeah, it's trying to be quiet.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're louder than you've ever been. Yep.
Because I know that Molly's dog walker, I don't have somebody walk me, not yet.
Someday.
Waiting game.
Someday.
The woman who walks Molly, one of our dogs, she was one of the first subscribers.
Oh, nice.
And she hasn't really said whether or not she still listens to it. And after an interaction I had with her the other day, I don't blame her if she just stops being Molly's dog
totally
walker.
writes it off. Oh, okay. And you as well, and Molly as well.
Yeah, maybe we'll just call it a day, and I don't blame her because I already think that she thinks I'm a little bit crazy.
No.
I know, it's weird. So the other morning, I came home from the gym. As you know, I go there early, and I was home by 6:15, 6:30. So I was standing in the kitchen talking to Michelle, and I knew that I'd lock the door behind me because that's what normal people do.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, Poppy starts barking, and I see the silhouette out on the porch, and the lock starts turning.
Oh, God.
It's somebody who has a key to this place.
And you're in there with Michelle.
I'm in the house, and whoever is outside also has a key. I'm but nobody else lives here. I don't understand. And then I went through the typical scenarios ghost, spirit, you know what I mean? The Samsung ghost that turns the TV on every once in a while.
Right, has somehow forged a key.
Right. The ghost of Christmas past. I don't know what's going on.
You didn't hear any chains, so you assume that wasn't it?
So you know what I do? And it's a really strange reaction. I never knew how I would react if somebody were to break into the house.
Yeah, you never know, really.
No.
Yeah.
So I lock the door.
Okay, so you run over to the door.
I run.
Okay. You paint a picture.
Toward the door. And I lock the door.
Okay.
And then I just start banging on the inside of the door. Like I'm knocking to the outside world.
Be gone, spirits! Be gone!
I cast you out!
I cast you out.
The power of Christ compels you. So I'm knocking on the door, and then I hear this voice say, "No, I'm sorry. It's me. I have Molly's leash." So the dog walker was at the house the day before.
Right.
And forgot to
leave the leash.
And was trying to just discreetly drop off the leash at a time where most people either aren't awake or aren't aware that somebody she was just trying to do the right thing.
Yeah, she's trying to be
and
nice.
Banging on the door. And it wasn't until I opened up the door and I was like, "Oh, hi," which explains why Molly wasn't barking.
Right.
Because she's like, no, I know her. It's Naomi. I know her.
Yeah.
And I tried to figure out, like, why would I just bang on the door like that?
Why was that my reaction?
So then, I had to, like, scramble for an answer because the question was just hanging right there.
Yep.
And so my rationale was, I was knocking on the door because I thought Molly would start barking if she heard somebody knocking at the door.
And scare away whoever might have been outside.
Yeah.
Got it.
I wish I could have seen my face, like what my face looked like when I was banging on the door.
When you're banging on the door?
Yeah.
The terror in your eyes. I thought you meant your face when you were trying to come up with the lie about why you were banging on the door.
That was just
the contortions that must have been going across
I was probably
your face.
just like looking up, like, with like ceiling eyes. Like, it's because I was trying to get the dog to bark.
Lie face is what they call that.
Exactly. So...
Well, now we all know what you will do if someone tries to break into your house.
Yeah, I'll knock on the door.
You will knock on the door.
Hello? No, you hello.
Well, what you don't know is there's a long-standing tradition that if you're outside a house and you knock on the door, it means, can I come in? And if you're inside the house and you knock on the door, it means, can you go away? I mean, that seems logical. Totally logical. So good job.
So
Fine.
as a PSA, if you have somebody who's trying to break into your home, knock on the door because it scared the hell out of the dog walker. So, sorry, Naomi.
So in recording, we did throw out on the social media that we were looking for some random questions today. And lo and behold, we're at a place in our podcast lives where now we can do that in the same day. And sometimes people respond and actually leave us random questions, which is wonderful. Thank you all for chiming in there. We did get one from Joy that I wanted to sort of delve into. And the question from Joy was, and I think this is great, what's the weirdest thing you've seen in someone else's home? Which I think is a really interesting question. And as soon as I read this question, I don't go to a lot of people's houses. As people may know, I am somewhat of a shut-in, and I'd rather stay at home. So I don't go to a lot of people's houses. So I don't. Yeah, right? I don't have my own story, but what I do have is a recent story that someone else shared in a completely inappropriate moment. So Hannah and I are having a baby, as we've discussed, and this Wednesday was our first birthing class. And we went to this class. Which
I kind of want to get into, but...
We'll talk about birthing class at some... Let me have another session, and then there's some things we can talk about, I think.
Okay.
But we go to the birthing class, and I won't get into the sort of dynamics yet. We'll save that as well. But the dynamics of the group is very interesting, because there's 8 of us, I think, and it's an interesting mix. But the particular interesting thing about this first class was that one of the women, her boyfriend, had a bicycle accident right before the class, like on his way to the class. He was late, and so she's going through this whole thing with the instructor about, he's late. He had a biking accident. Again, we're in Vermont. We're in Burlington.
It's kind of snowy.
It's winter, and he decided he wanted to take his bike. And of course, she just spent 15 minutes just ripping on him about everything, because he's like, I told him not to take a bike. I told him it was a stupid idea. He should have just taken an Uber to work. I don't know why, blah, blah, blah. I hope the baby is more my genes than his. Like those kind of things. She was great. She was fantastic. But the whole class, she kept interjecting these sort of random things. She's just one of these people, I think, in a group setting like that who just likes to share stuff. And it just sort of comes out of her mouth. And we did like intros to start with. We went around the table, and of course her boyfriend's not there, and it's just her. It's very awkward.
Icebreaker?
Well, it was just basically like, who are you? God. What do you do? When are you due? That kind of thing.
What and when?
Yeah, what and when. What do and when are you do? Which I thought was great. Only situation in which that'll ever be part of the icebreaker. She's going on about, who she is, and she's from Eastern Europe originally, and she's lived here for a while now. And I don't even remember how this came up, but in that intro, somehow, she happened to mention that she has a skull in her house. And again, I don't even know how we got there, because we weren't talking about like our living situations or anything, but she just volunteered, and it wasn't like, tell us something interesting about you.
Right.
That wasn't part of the like setup for this, but she was like, there's a skull in my house. She's an artist, apparently. She likes to do drawings, so she was like, it's the anatomy is interesting to me, so I draw the skull. And wisely, the instructor of the class was like, well, where did you get it? Which I thought was a very apropos question.
Absolutely.
I wasn't going to ask any follow-up questions, but the instructor was immediately very interested in the skull in her home. And again, this is what she said in response to that question. She said, well, I'm from Belarus, so they're kind of around. We reacted exactly like you just reacted. We had no idea what to say. Like, cool. It's kind of right. It's like,
was there that one person in the crowd who was like, oh, yeah, right.
Of course. Belarus.
Of course,
I've heard.
right.
Yeah.
No, that does make sense.
That makes complete sense.
Right. Because when you said skulls, that's what I was thinking.
One of the skulls that are just lying around in Belarus. She like kept going. She was like, there's been wars, and so there's skulls, and like we were just like, okay, stop.
Yeah.
Like, you've done enough. You've said enough. We get it. Thank you.
Let's talk about your boyfriend.
Let's talk about your boyfriend.
Again.
And of course, we're all like, is he okay? And she's just kind of like, I'm sure he's fine.
I'm sure he's fine.
His bike might be messed up.
I haven't heard from him, so I'm assuming he's well.
He's fine. I told him not to take the bike in the first place. The worst part is we had to follow that. We were going around the table, and we had to follow the like skull in my living room story.
Oh my God.
I don't know where you go from there. I don't have transitions from that story.
What did you say? You're like, hey, do you remember the movie E.T.? Loosely based on my childhood.
Right. Right. That's how you went up that. You're like, nah, my best friend was an alien growing up.
Yeah. He's still around.
There's no skull on a shelf, but hid in a bunch of stuffed animals once. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie. So that was, again, not my story of something I've seen in someone's house, but it's something someone has told me is in their house that definitely blew my mind.
I had a lot of questions about this woman. Like, what kind of art does she do?
I can't wait
draw a skull again
for the next class. Like, she is going to make class for us. I feel like that's going to be, and all credit to the class. It's actually been far more educational already than I expected it to be. I think it's going to be good to have Ben. As a preview of when we eventually talk about this again, the group of people is like complete stiffs, like not my kind of people at all, like incapable of laughter type of people.
Do you want Michelle and I to show up? It's like, we're both having babies.
It would be so helpful.
We could do that.
It would be so helpful.
Absolutely.
It's just all very, like, one of the couple, they're both lawyers, and then the
Not
couple...
that there's anything wrong with that.
Not that there's anything wrong with that. It's so, actually, it's not even that they're lawyers. Again, I don't have any problem with that, but they're both lawyers. They both just moved here from Miami this winter. Miami to Vermont. And again, the instructor... Oh, my God. The instructor is so good with the follow-up question. She's like, oh, well, what brings you here? And they're both just like...
The law.
You got a lot of loopholes, and that's the kind of thing we're into.
You have no laws here in Vermont.
Exactly. So everything's fair game from what we understand. It's the Wild West up here.
Nothing. Yeah.
But they were like, just wanted to, change of pace, change of scenery. It's like, it's winter.
Welcome.
Why on earth? Anyway, so it's going to be interesting, but...
Bicycle Guy must have been like, wait a minute.
Well, maybe Bicycle Guy is he didn't know how fortunate he was. He eventually showed up. He's like, I could use your services. I was just hit by a car.
Or wait a minute, why are you here when we could be there? Yeah, it's a whole thing. I don't know.
Let's all go to Miami instead.
I have a lot of questions about the class.
Okay.
I'm just going to fire off a couple questions.
Okay, sure. Let's get into it.
Do you have the option of like attending another class if the people in this class are super boring?
Can we?
Like, we still want to have this baby. We just don't have
transfer?
We don't want to practice having a baby with
these
group.
People.
Can we join the fun group?
That's
please?
An interesting question. Actually, I would be interested to ask that maybe next class.
Okay.
Like, is there a more
would
fun
you like
group
me to do that?
Because
I'm happy to do that when I show up with my fake baby next week.
It's fine. We'll take care of it.
So
thank you. No, the best part actually about the class is the fact that it's located downtown, right next to the brand new chocolate shop. That's
new chocolate.
Yeah, new chocolate. New chocolat.
New chocolat.
I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. That's how
that's how we're pronouncing it now.
New chocolat.
New chocolat.
Yeah, great on Instagram. Great Instagram
You know what that
follow.
means? You know what the English translation is?
Tell me.
New chocolate.
Oh wow, deep. I had no idea.
No, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a linguist, so I wouldn't have been able to translate that.
Nor am I.
Yeah, we went in there right before we were early for class. So we went in and checked it out, and they were so happy to see us, and they're so happy about everything on Instagram and all their social media. They're like so pumped about about life. It's great.
I saw something where they were like, can't wait for you to stop by. And I was like, we should maybe do a show from this.
I mean, maybe. They had a person selling jewelry on Valentine's Day. Maybe they'd let us do a live podcast at the
Why
shop.
wouldn't they, right?
That actually would be a pretty good tie-in. I'll reach out. Make a note of that.
Reach out. So I have a weird thing that I did see in someone's home.
Okay.
A long time ago. I mean, it was maybe 30 years ago.
Oh, okay. So we're going back.
But, obviously it's stuck with me. It was a 5-foot-tall stuffed Pac-Man.
Oh.
Which is weird.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's a little weird.
Like, even if it was in, the heyday of Pac-Man.
Right.
Like,
so 30 years ago, Pac-Man was definitely more part of the lexicon, but yeah,
But to have like a 5-foot-tall stuffed
unless you're
Pac-Man.
a game developer. Did they work on the game?
No.
Huh.
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't.
Were they a competitive Pac-Maner?
I don't even remember
Pac-Maner?
whose house it was.
Huh.
That's why I'm grabbing my forehead right now.
That's the memory grab that you do.
It's my memory squeeze.
Engage those synapses.
I don't remember where it was.
Does this bring anything back if I go?
Damn, well, you do that really well.
It's a skill.
So your wife could name boats and RVs.
Yeah.
And you could do video game noises from the mid to late 80s.
Analog video game noises.
Which is exciting. I mean, the world's your oyster, really.
All right. Well, thank you all for listening to Bitter Coffee. As always, if you want to get in touch with us, you can reach out to us at bittercoffeepod@gmail.com. Find us on Twitter. Check us out on Instagram, Facebook. We'd really appreciate it. Tonight, our Chief of Catering has been Michelle Pilardi. Our Pet Care Specialist has been Hannah Patton Fanton. Our intro and outro music is Hold Me Down by John Worthy and the Bends. And we will check you out next time. Stay fresh, cheese bags.
Take care, you guys.
You didn't actually title the Lesbians Who Cried Gas. Can I make that the episode title?
Oh my God, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Well, there you go.
We got a cosign from Michelle from the other room, so I guess that's the episode title.
There you have it.